Howdy, 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 my name is Anashi Sasuke, and welcome back to reading SCP-001, and eventually the other ones. So I decided to do this one in the middle of the day instead of the middle of the night. And this part is, bring the arrow back over, the children, because last time we read Keter Duty, sort of. The warning, the following document is level 5 classified by order of the Overseer Council. Any attempts to access the file without level 5 authorization will be logged and the personnel responsible terminated. Input level 5 primary security credentials. Okay. Command, users 0513, blah blah blah, sins of the Father, sins of the Son. Authorization granted, primary memetic kill agents disengaged. Good evening, 0513. Warning, parts of the file have been locked. Additional level 5 clearance required to unlock. Alright. Object designation, item 001. Containment class, Keter Thalmiel. Active stable. Item 1 is currently contained in San Marco, Mexico, beneath the previous site of the San Marco de la Vida Eterna Church. Original containment procedures have proven sufficient to contain Item 001. The area of containment is currently designated a high-security military waste disposal site, and Mexican law disallows individuals from coming within 10 kilometers of the site. Automated closed-circuit surveillance drones are to maintain the perimeter around Item 01's containment site and have been designated to kill on site. 05 Memorandum 001 Alpha. The containment of information regarding SCP-01, formerly Item 001, is to be considered a highest priority. I have allowed clearance in the database for the creation of a number of false objects in the slot. If anybody gets that far, that should be enough to satiate them. I pulled out some of the original EX to hold the spot until we can find something better. Expunge everything you find, get rid of any leaks, drown it all in as many kill agents as you feel is necessary. You have more than enough clearance to do so. 052. Object description. Item 1 is the group designation for 9 human beings, ages 4 to 11, who gained anomalous properties as the result of Project 001, Twins of God. See Project Proposal 01 for more information. Due to the improper use of Item 001 resulting in the death of a high-ranking staff member, termination was necessitated. As a result, Item 001 was put into its current containment. All 9 instances of Item 01 are functionally brain-dead, but continue to display signs of life despite their nature of containment. The nature of their containment. Item 001 instances emit massive amounts of gamma radiation, often in excess of something GJ, in distinct patterns. When separated, these patterns appear random. However, certain characteristics become evident when the instances are brought together, and as such, each instance is contain roughly something from any other instances of Item 01. Additionally, Item 001 are noticeably radioluminescent. Video observation of Item 001 instances are impossible when instances are active, as video recordings experience decay of footage when instances are on screen. Item 001 instances are capable, when within a range of no greater than 20 meters from any other instance of Item 001, of long-distance termination of objects, places, or individuals. Additional information regarding this property is detailed later in this file. By order of the Overseer Council, Item 001 has been classified as Thalmiel Keter Entity. So let's see. Yeah, I don't know what that footnote means. Warning! Additional information regarding Item 001 is locked and currently subject to Level 5 classification. Memetic kill agents are in place to prevent dissemination of information regarding Item 001. Non-Overseer individuals without Class 5 memetic resistance conditioning are susceptible to termination as a result of the kill agents. You have been warned, and this will be your last warning. Well, the kill agents haven't got me yet, so let's check it out. Project Proposal Twins of God. Research Team Omega 5. Oh, that's what the O stands for. Okay, Omega 5. Project date, February 13th, 1922. To create an anomalous entity bound by the necessary forces to the command of the Foundation's Central Command Administrator, capable of destroying long-range hostile anomalous threats to Foundation and global security. Research Team Lead Dr. Blip Blip, PhD 0501. Assistant Leads, blah blah, 052, blah blah, 053. Requested resources. Access and use of Item Blah, Subatomic Pumping System. Access use of Item Blah, Harkins Gateway. Access and use of Item Blah, multiple injections. Materials necessary to construct a necessary containment and testing facility. No fewer than 50 adult humans D-Class. For testing purposes, which we now know means disposable class. Project details. Using information gained from recent testing of Item Blah and Item Blah, an opportunity has arisen previously unavailable to the Foundation. The ability to, over large differences, alter the quantum makeup of objects in such a way to render the target functionally non-existent. To this end, it is now considered possible, with the use of Item Blah, to transfer these properties to a human subject, which should allow for greater control of the effect. To meet the desired goal of this project, Item Blah, and Item Blah have been removed from Foundation records, and their containment will take place solely at the primary testing facility. Under guise of a military waste disposal site for the United States government, a site will be constructed in northern Mexico away from civilian populations in order to safely test these theories. Given the potentially volatile nature of the project, utmost care will be implemented to provide a number of fail-safes in the event of a catastrophic breach of containment. These fail-safes are listed below. Given the success of the project, the control over the entity tentatively designated Item 001 is to be handed off to the administrator of the Foundation for use against the hostile anomalous organization classified as GOI-03, Kingdom of Abaddon. A number of mind kill agents will be placed within the item, and access to these agents will be given out to the administrator alone to act as a failsafe in order to keep the item out of the hands of opposition forces. A medic kill agent neutralized. Failsafe containment procedures. Alpha. In the event of a catastrophic breach of containment, mind kill agents placed within Item 001 are to be activated, terminating the entity. Each of these agents has been given a different priority level and should be used in order. They are as follows. Berkeley agent. Reduction of motor functions. Anastasia agent. Reduction of anomalous capabilities, development ongoing. Nesbit agent. Reduction of mental faculties. Orion agent. Full chemical dissolution of upper nervous system. Okay, so the Berkeley agent makes them unable to move their limbs. If they have psychic powers, then the Anastasia agent will shut that down. The Nesbit agent will break their ability to think, and the Orion agent will melt their brain. Okay, Beta. In the event of a failure procedure Alpha, security personnel are to engage and terminate Item 001. Capture is unlikely and unadvised. Personnel are advised to maintain a safe working distance from Item 001 and wear the necessary Foundation-approved anti-rad protection gear. Long-range ballistic fire is also advised as to not immediately attract the attention of Item 001. Delta. In the event of a failure procedure Beta, Foundation-controlled long-range ballistic weapons are to be activated and used directly on Item 001. A perimeter will be established roughly 10 kilometers from the research facility, and no fewer than 10 heavy shell bombardment cannons are to be placed along the perimeter and utilized during the Delta procedure. Epsilon. In the event of a failure of procedure Delta, an on-site explosive device is to be activated. The Foundation Administrator will oversee follow-up of procedure Epsilon. Project approval, Administrator Fritz Williams. 051. Okay, so that's a report on Delta, which I guess is Delta not working. Alpha, Delta again. You have not accessed this terminal in 3 minutes. Do you require assistance? Oh hey, an audio file. But I don't hear anything. Whatever. Well, okay, so I guess I'm just supposed to click it and then read it. I didn't read the logs because I didn't really care. Well, I read that, but I didn't read these. Yeah, the project report. Well, let's just read the, okay. Better to do this now, I think. Better to get it done while I can still remember it all. It's been a long time since I read this file, longer still since that night in 26. It's been too long since people knew the truth of what we did, and what happened to Abaddon and One and the Administrator. Hell, the amnestics have held up. I might be the only one left. I have no intention of taking it to the grave with me. Not this. One was always charismatic, that much is on record. That's why Fritz Williams gave him the lead of Omega 5 over 2, even though 2 had been with the Foundation longer. That's not to say that One wasn't smart. On the contrary, he was one of the more brilliant researchers I have ever worked with. Even after all this time, he penned most of the reports for the work that Omega 5 did, even before we were a full-fledged team. Back then, when we were just a handful of junior researchers out at Site 17, he was eloquent and passionate and driven. He was also always so detached. He loved his work, don't get me wrong, and the research was his greatest desire, but the direction of the Foundation, The stress on containment, he had no love for it. He said to me many times that we were underutilizing our assets, that we could provide better containment of anomalies if we weren't so damn afraid of them. Afraid to use some to contain others. He was the original designer of the Thaumiel classification, of course, him and the Epsilon 2 research team. I think that's why he was so eager to jump at the chance to do what we were doing with 001. It was unprecedented, the 001 project, but then so was Abaddon. The logs here don't give the half of it, and the rest has been lost to history. With Abaddon, we were wildly, hilariously outmatched. A group of decently funded scientists and armed guards against a small army of type greens, and we didn't even see the worst of them. Class 2s and 3s were more than a match for the best we had to offer, and this was nearly half a century before we'd seen the first Scranton anchor. Some reports claimed that the ruler was a Class 5. If true, then he could have blinked us off the map if he wanted. Abaddon was responsible for the complete destruction of 3 sites in 1922 alone. It wasn't just in sub-Saharan Africa either, although we certainly didn't publicize that. There was kingdom activity as far north as Gibraltar and as far south as Madagascar. They would enter sites, destroy everything, and leave with just a few objects. Shred the records, too. And what were we to do? We'd only just begun classifying reality benders, let alone combating them. Were they to make it to one of the larger sites in Europe or the Middle East, it would have been a bloodbath. If you're reading this, then you've read the logs about 001. You know what it does, how we built it. The gun to end all guns. A weapon crafted out of human bodies and fire that could annihilate anything, anywhere, at any time. All with just a brief description. One was fascinated by it, by them, the children. I can still hear them screaming while we put them into the machine and pulled their souls out and replaced it with something else. But it worked, and one was so proud. Then the time came to finish our task. The administrator flew in from 17, one of a handful of times I'd ever seen him in public. As exciting an event as it was, the air was thick with solemnity. We all knew the gravity of our task, understood that we were sentencing hundreds to death. I think that if we thought there was any other option, we might have shied away from the edge, but... While we watched, one approached the glowing children and spoke the activation words. They were glorious in a way, the perfect balance of raw energy and human form. He leaned into them and spoke the name of Abaddon Citadel, and then they burst with light, and it was over. We had no way of knowing whether or not it worked, other than what we had seen in other tests, and yet it felt finished. There was a feeling like a collective breath had been released. Then Fritz William disappeared, his clothes and protective gear falling to the ground in a heap, and as gunfire filled the testing chamber with smoke, we saw one sprinting towards an emergency exit and 001 glowing again. After this, it was all a rush. A quiet ride back towards our bunker as MTF teams rushed in to contain 001. A quick debriefing with other command officials, questioning, searches, it all blends together. One was gone, of course. They didn't find him, and they never did. He wasn't the only one who left. 4 other members of our team alone went with him. A number of other junior staff members, and then about half of the senior staff at Site 15 defected. All disappeared without a trace. Items, too, right out of their cells. They discovered later that it was a long time in the making, and one had helped foster the 001 project just to meet this end. We buried the children deep in San Marco, covered them in about 50 meters of concrete. They didn't say a word when we put them into lead bags, not that it would help. They didn't say anything when we separated them, and they didn't say anything when we closed the tomb on top of them. I doubt they'll ever say anything ever again. I have no doubt that they're still alive, though. The most powerful weapon in the world, armed and loaded, without its trigger. One has the trigger and one alone. With any luck, it died with him. In the end, we were left in charge, the 8 of us who remained. We picked 5 more of the brightest we could find and we pushed on. Abaddon was gone, without a trace. There was so much still to do, but we found a way to push forward, we made do, and in the end we overcame. I still think about the children under San Marco from time to time, about the lengths we went to when we were panicked and afraid, about the things we did even outside of the project. I think about one, too. I wonder if he found what he was looking for. I wonder if he thinks it was worth it. I received a message through the secure system nearly 1 year ago today. I've said nothing then, but I'm going to add it to this file now. As for the contents, I'll let others decide. I've said enough. End recording. Okay, let me close that. Oh, never mind, I have to leave it. 13. When we were young, you asked if I thought that our dreams would ever be realized. If we would ever be able to keep the world truly safe and hang it up for good. You asked me if I thought we had the means to do so or if the means existed at all. You asked me to what lengths must we go, what prices must we pay, or we must pay, what allegiances we must forward in order to achieve perfection. I did not know then, I do know now. There will come a time when the secrets that the Foundation has tried to hide away will rise up from the shifting sands in glorious appearance, when the subjugated will break free from the bonds of their captors, and when the march of progress will no longer be impeded by those who would huddle around their fire, swatting at the ever-growing shadows. On that day, the Foundation will be cast aside, and all that will remain is purpose. Do you hear the Black Moon howling, 13? You will soon. Vive insurrection. Vive la insurrection. Okay. Well, that was interesting. So, after the 36... I already did the 36, and Keter Duty and the Children. So, there's just the record, the broken god, past and future, the consensus, and when day breaks. What the fuck? The following containment procedure was unanimously approved by the Site Director's Executive Committee of the whole and of the Omega-5 Council. Object Class Thamiel. Okay. Special containment procedures. It was the unanimous subjective opinion of the Site Director's Executive Committee of the whole on May 3rd, 2000-something, that the SCP-01 database entry slot should be locked to edits and only made available for modification with 7 private keys belonging to members of the O5 Council. It was the majority subjective opinion of Sidek Katua that the object believed to have been most recently designated SCP-01 should no longer be given an SCP designation and should be stored in a standard high-value containment locker in Site 19. It was the unanimous opinion of Sadak Akwata that no objective claims or statements should be made in the main SCP-01 page of the Foundation database under any circumstances. Only verifiably true records of the opinions of Foundation governing bodies in the past. It was the majority opinion of the O5 Council on May 3rd, 2000-something, that in the event that entity Thamiel, Dr. Mary Nakayama, or any entity claiming to be either makes contact with the SCP Foundation, they will be referred to the O5 Council for negotiation and cooperation. It was the majority opinion of the O5 Council that no efforts will be made at this time to neutralize entity Thamiel or the vulnerabilities of the SCP-01 database position. Description. It was the unanimous opinion of Sadek Katwa and the O5 Council on May 3rd, 2000-something, that any statement of the fact made on this specific SCP Foundation database page becomes objectively true. The prior unanimous decision of Sadek Katwa and the O5 Council holds that modifications to this page have vast and potentially infinite Category LF Room greatest concern, reality modification consequences. The prior unanimous opinion of Sadak Katua and the O5 Council that held that no further testing on these effects is to occur due to the potential of XK, CK, LK, VK, ZK, and Pi K class scenarios believed to be highly probable with said testing. It was the unanimous opinion of Sadak Katua that other pages within the Procedures 01 portion of the Foundation database have no anomalous effects, and that the prior versions of the SCP-01 database leading to the believed discovery of SCP-01's effects and the possible creation of entity Thamiel are to be stored as subpages in this directory for reference. It was the unanimous opinion of Sadakaku that all blank spots on the Foundation database shall be checked for further Category 11 Room reality modification anomalies, and that only a series of 1,000 thoroughly checked database spots will be available to Foundation personnel for the designation of new special containment procedures at any given time. And then all these things. Let's see. Okay, I'm just going to read the one that's not all blacked out in red. Which is a document saved on Mary Nakayama's computer on the morning of May 3rd, 2000-something. To the O5 Council. When I was 15, I took enough pills to kill someone 4 times my size, down an entire bottle of cheap vodka that was the only thing I had left from the man who used me and left me broken and alone. I sat in the shower with the hot water scalding me. I closed my eyes. When I opened them, I was dry. I was well. I was in bed. At the door, a shining figure, a radiant light, hovered. It spoke to me with a voice that echoed in my mind only. It said I had greater things to do. I never saw it again, but I kept going. I believe that God descended and saved me, and joining the Foundation, how could I not believe? What else could explain the fact that we were still here, so marvelously, desperately, screamingly alive? How else could the fabric of our world, our everything, withstand such things that we behold every day? Something was protecting us. I prayed to it every night for guidance. I never heard its voice again. I had been touched by God once, and that was a lifetime of fortune in one moment. But when I changed the color of the nameplate on my desk just by hitting save on a text file, I realized something. The fabric of all things was open to me. I could put this power away, show you, conceal it, but... What if this was what saved me? What if this was what saves us all every day from the abyssal terrors that rip and rend at our world's fragile stability? What if me hitting save on a text file was the birth of God? If it's not, then I tried. If it is, then I am watching. I will try to steer things right. It will take time. Wish me luck, MN. Okay, so that's weird. And then there's the Broken God. By order of the Overseer Council, the following file describes a Moxer-class anomalous entity. This information is protected by level 5 classification. Dissemination of Moxer-class information is strictly forbidden and poses an imminent threat to the SCP Foundation and its interests. Individuals accessing this file must provide level 5 security credentials and be inoculated against AZ-109 memetic hazards. Failure to do so will result in immediate carrier Omega memetic termination upon accessing this file. I wonder what that means. Security cognito hazard executed. Life signs detected. Memetic inoculation ascertained. Welcome, Overseer. Okay, SCP-01, Object Class Maxer. Roberto Bomaro, current leader of the Church of the Broken God. Date unknown. Oh, wow, there's a lot of... Holy shit. That is a lot of stuff. Okay, so, given the amount of reading that this one is, I'm probably going to have, the Broken God be a thing by itself. Let's see what past and future looks like. A lot of things. 2. Site directors listserv, blah 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 blah, regarding SCP-01 high urgency. We need all attention on dealing with the current situation now. The first part is to put the rumors to rest and to get you all to focus on what we're doing next. This is the first and last time any of you will see an official transcript of an 05 vote. There will be no questions. The file for 001 is attached. We declassified it this morning. We go out there and keep buying us time. Okay, verified code number. Record of decision. Overseer Council action 16 through 47. Motion as follows. Proceed with contingency plan 27985 to distribute means of effective suicide to global population in order to spare all interested civilians from SCP-01. Yay, 0534791011. Nay, 25813. Abstain 1612. Result, motion fails. Okay, apparently these are separate things. Let's check this one first. Oh, I think it's just more SCPs for one. Let's see, there's Harbinger, SCP-01 PDF, Continued Deliberations, A Night at the Movies, Standard Dream Report, After Action Report, Standard Dream Report, The Man at the Threshold, and JC and Aurelio. So I guess I'm gonna have to do that one in another episode as well. Let's check wrong, the consensus. Notice from the foundation. Okay. So, 2 things. This is going to be a shorter episode, and the next episode is probably going to be gargantuan. Let's see when day breaks. Okay. You find the access tunnel hidden within a natural cave a mile off the main road. You don't need the key card. The door is ajar. It smells here. It smells like them. Hopefully they've moved on. You've come so far already you can't turn back now. There's a slick trail that leads from the cave entrance into the depths of the site. If it's blood or shit, or something that smeared off one of those things, you cannot tell. You make a point to avoid it. You're still receiving the distress signal. It only started broadcasting yesterday. Whoever it is, you pray they're still alive. Your footsteps echo throughout empty corridors. Each footfall sounds for all the world like a dozen, as if you're not treading through the dark corridors alone. Elevator is down, so you take the stairs, ending on floor B5, Keter holding. You pass several empty containment chambers. The horrors they once held are long gone, if you're lucky. The trail takes you to an office branching off the main hall, the source of the signal. The door is cracked open but stuck. You plant your feet and push with all your might. Something skitters out of one of the rooms to your left and around the corner before you can get a good look at it. Your first thought is dog. It was on the ceiling, though. You take refuge in the room, slam the door behind you. It's dark here. You're safe. You take off your jacket and head wrap. It'd be a damn shame to die from something like hyperthermia after all that's happened. The sole operating emergency light rotates in its casing, casting a pale orange glow across the room every other second, as if the room itself had a pulse. There's shelving haphazardly placed behind the door, a barricade. You scan the room. Soiled clothes, half-eaten food. Despite the presence of an adjoining restroom, there is excrement in a bucket in the corner. A pneumatic chamber on the northern wall would have been delivering consumables to the occupant. The trail terminates in the corner of the room, forming a sick puddle. You spot 3 pharmacy bottles. Further inspection reveals them to be various opioids. They're all empty. There's a desk with a computer atop it. Approaching the terminal, you can clearly see the blinking light off the power button. You take a seat. Turn it on. Emergency protocol activated. Clearance level safeguards removed. Full access granted. Secure. Contain. Protect. You hear footsteps just outside the door. Every first step comes down heavy. The second drags behind it. A dark shape blots out the light streaming in through the slit between the floor and the doorway. You tense up, waiting with bated breath, praying it will pass. You damn the deafening thumping of your heart for betraying your position. The shadow recedes. You breathe a sigh of relief as the screen comes to life. Opening file. Automated Secure System Notification Code 235. There has been an error in retrieving the current iteration of the SCP-01 file. You are currently viewing revision number 3. Newer revisions can be accessed at the bottom of this page. Okay, so it's even more of them. Let's see how many there are. Okay, looks like there's repeated revisions of Apollyon. Okay, so first, due to its nature, SCP-01 cannot be contained. Survivors of the SCP-01 event stationed within secure facilities are to remain in contact with one another. Personnel are encouraged to attempt to reach Site-19 by any means at their disposal. Survivors attempting to travel outdoors must fully cover their bodies in protective clothing, preferably several layers. Travel by foot... looks like it's something in the sky. Travel by foot should be limited as much as possible. Cities and man-made structures in general provide the greatest protection. Formerly wooded areas should be circumvented. Travel by air is preferable above all other methods. Personnel exposed to SCP-01 are to be considered lost. Compromised personnel are to be abandoned. Euthanization is not to be attempted. Collective instances of SCP-01A that are of formidable size are to be avoided at all costs. Conductive electrical weapons have proven partially effective at immobilizing instances and may be used for self-defense. Incendiary weapons work as well. Cryonic munitions are the most effective thus far. So freezing is good and fire is good. Guns are okay, and electricity's aight. Testing has revealed that SCP-01A is relatively safe to consume. This is only to be considered as a last resort in the absence of other options. As SCP-01A may reconstitute within the digestive system, only small portions should be consumed at a time to prevent blockage. Personnel stationed at Site-19 are to pursue research concerning off-world colonization. Shuttles must be constructed as to not allow light to penetrate the interior. To those of you with families or, God forbid, children, I'm deeply, deeply sorry. You must push on. Do not let their deaths be in vain. We do still have time. Humanity may still have a future. Come to Site-19. We need all the hands we can get. Learn to embrace the darkness, friends. Fear the light. Okay, description. SCP-01 is the designation given to the Sun after an event on system error, data lost, resulting in 6.8 billion casualties within the first 24 hours. The SCP-01 effect does not seem to result from exposure to ultraviolet rays, but rather light in the visual spectrum. The effect is similarly present in moonlight. Upon contact with visible light produced by the sun, living organisms liquefy at the point of contact, with the effect spreading until the entire organism is converted. Visually, this is reminiscent of melting wax. The time this takes is largely dependent on the level of exposure and size of the organism. Despite this restructuring, at no point do living organisms perish. Upon completion, these organisms, SCP-01A, take on a gelatinous consistency. Motile organisms will attempt to orient themselves in a fashion reminiscent of their previous form to varying degrees of success. Flora typically remain physically inert, yet are still capable of photosynthesis and still produce oxygen. Organisms capable of flight lose the capability to do so. Fauna remain sentient and display behavior that parallels their non-anomalous counterparts when not absorbed into collective instance. Humans retain a modicum of sapience and memory. Biological anomalies exposed to SCP-01 are affected in the same manner. It seems that exposure nullifies any previously expressed anomalous characteristics. Due to their composition, instances of SCP-01A that make contact with one another may combine and blend at the molecular level. This does not seem to cause any pain or distress to the instances, though the resulting bulk can inhibit movement. Since the SCP-01 event, most instances have congregated into such collectives, which seem to possess no maximum volume. The resulting biomass is amorphous and chaotic. The component organisms will shift between a full to semi-liquid state, limbs and bodies which rise periodically from within the mass for a short duration, before deteriorating and being subsumed by another life form. Collective instances will locomote by using their appendages in tandem to carry their mass. Larger instances will form a pseudopod from their constituent life forms and drag themselves about in a manner similar to amoeba. Open attached audio file. A harsh static lashes out of the speakers when you open the file. It disturbs the stillness of the room, catches you off guard, and quickens your heart's pace. There's some handling noise as the recorder adjusts their microphone. A brief moment of silence passes, and then... This is Dr. Logan Igata, level 3 researcher. There's a quiver in her voice that betrays her attempts at professionalism. She pauses, takes a deep breath, and continues. Due to Site-46's possession of several communicable info hazards, we've been cut off from the rest of the network under blackout protocol. As such, I'll be updating this as we come across the new information. On the bright side, we are actually still receiving transmissions from a few sites. A good number of personnel have made it, it seems. Some are planning to make a break for 19, some are trying to fight the Dash-A's, some, like us, are simply biding their time. Our site is sealed for the time being. We're not ready for the journey, at least not yet. She sighs. We experienced a containment breach a few days ago. One of the higher maintenance humanoids broke loose. Son of a bitch compromised containment on half a dozen Keeters and ran off. They didn't make it more than 5 feet from the tunnels before collapsing in a soup. I watched it play out on the cams. It didn't take long for them to get back up. She stops again, mutters to herself incomprehensibly, before you hear the unmistakable sound of a match strike. She exhales audibly. Much better. Not exactly a designated smoke area, but what the hell, right? She clears her throat. Commander Anand suited up and went to town on them the next day, tried to drive them off. It didn't turn out very well, poor bastard, but we did learn a thing or two at least. There's only a few of us left here. I'm holed up in one of the offices. Jerry and Director Phillips are somewhere in the barracks. Clyde and a few Ds locked themselves in the armory with Aerie. I really should see how she's doing. She trails off for a moment before you hear the buzz of radio chatter. Hey hun, how you holding up down there? A voice responds, a man with an exaggerated mocking tone. I'm doing just fine, poopsiekins. I want you to know how I love you bunches. Logan shoots back. What? Knock it off and put her on, damn it. I need to speak with her. There's a clamor on the other end while the radio changes hands. A soft voice calls out, concerned. Babe, what's wrong? Logan responds. Nothing. I just wanted to check in real quick. Aerie pleads. I'm fine, baby, really, I can take care of myself. A creak. Logan shifts in her seat. No, I know that. I can't help it, though. I know coming here was never easy for you. And with everything going on, Now, you told me to quit smoking. Oh, no, of course not. I mean, I did stop. Aerie doesn't sound convinced. I don't think I'm the one you need to worry about. I'm staying clean. I haven't even thought about touching amnestics in months. Trust me. Anyway, since you're wondering, I'm fine. The guys are sitting around playing cards. I'm tucked in the corner with my notebook. You can practically hear it go to smiling as she jokes. Sweetheart, penning a sonnet about my undying love at a time like this? I'm flattered. I responds with a faint laugh. An elegy at the moment. I feel like if I don't keep myself busy doing something, I'll go crazy locked down here. I know what you mean, hun. I'll let you get back to it. I love you. Love you too, babe. A moment of silence, then a match strike followed by an audible exhale. And that's all of us. Everyone else was either topside during the event or they were killed in the breach. Director's orders are to stay put. Keep an eye on the cams, both in and around the facility. We've got the 01 skips beating at our front door, and God knows what else is in here with us. We still have electricity. We should for quite some time. And the place is stocked with enough supplies to last the site a couple of years. We're going to be fine for now. Everything's going to be fine. Okay, so I'm going to end this episode here, and then probably, like, continue it from this spot. Because it's been 36 minutes, and I'd rather them not all be in the 40s. So, this has been Anashi Sasuke. This was continuing to attempt to make it through just SCP-01. And in the next episode, we probably still won't make it all the way through SCP-01, but we're getting there. So, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Later.